Hey y'all, today's video we're going to be talking about the current working situation here in China in 2024. So if you're someone who's interested in coming to China to work here and to live here, this video is going to be for you. So stay tuned, and I think it's going to be very helpful. So for those of y'all who are new here, right, I'm an American that's been living here in China for over 15 years. So when it comes to the working situation here, I definitely know what I'm talking about. And not only that, I have lots of friends here, that local friends who do business here, both Chinese and expats. So I can share with you everything I know about the current situation here. And man, it's hot today. I'm gonna find me a place to sit down here, hopefully in the shade. And well, it was shaded, it's not shaded anymore. I'll go find somewhere else. But first of all, when it comes to the working situation as far as teaching goes, because that's usually the main job that foreigners do here is obviously teaching, whether it be teaching English or teaching something else. I myself am teaching PE, so I'm teaching fitness and sports and stuff like that to primary school kids. But the main job here is obviously going to be teaching. So right now, the current situation in regards to teaching in China has really changed a lot over the past several years, and especially this year, it's really changed. So let me share with you some of those changes. So let me get over here out of the sun. So when it comes to those changes, one of the things that you need to know is the past several years, they've had lots and lots of problems with the education industry in China. Like, for example, a lot of the English training centers, the companies that have extra classes and tutoring, all that stuff, they've been closed down. They were forced to close just due to too much competition in this field, like making it really difficult for people who aren't from affluent families to actually get access to education. So China banned a lot of these extra teaching things like this. Let me make sure there's nothing over here. I'm gonna sit down here chill in the grass in the shade. So yeah, a lot of those places have closed. And then also there's been massive crackdowns on these international schools. A lot of them have left China. There's only a few left really. And then on top of that, they also had a ban on international books and international school curriculums. So the need for foreign teachers has dropped considerably. And not just that, but also the local Chinese teachers who worked in those places were all left without jobs. We're talking millions of people lost their jobs due to these crackdowns, not just foreigners, but also local Chinese people. So when it comes to the education industry here, it's really different than what it was before. And the second thing about that is, before you had a lot of non-native English speakers, such like Russians and Ukrainians and some people from the continent of Africa. So you had a lot of these people who were teaching English, and that's pretty much over. I mean, there's still a few of them who are doing it, but it's very few and far between compared to what it was before. So right now, if you are a non-native English speaker, it's definitely more difficult to get a job here in China in the education industry. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is possible, but it is very difficult now to do that. And especially if you're not in the country, if you're somewhere else, it's going to be very difficult. You kind of need to be here on the ground in the country and have everything figured out in order to get one of those jobs. So that's going to be the first thing. Now, the next thing I'll talk about in regards to the education industry is the salaries have came down a lot compared to what they were before. Because when I first started here 15 years ago, the salaries were fair for the cost of living in China. They were $2,000 to $2,200 a month or so, and they crept up to about $3,000, $4,000 a month. And during the pandemic, during COVID, so many expats and foreigners, especially native speakers, 70% of all the native English speakers left China, and they didn't come back. And so during the whole pandemic situation, the demand was super, super high, and the salaries were very good, like up to $5,000 a month or so, like something like that, which is good for China, considering the cost of living here is so cheap. But now we're seeing the salaries come back down. For one, is because the pandemic is over and you have more foreigners here, but there's still a lack of native English speakers here. So you do have that going for you if you are a native English speaker, say from America, Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, something like that, right? Then there's plenty of opportunities here. There are countless jobs available, but those jobs don't pay nearly as well as they used to pay. Every 6 months now, like every semester, you can see the salary slowly coming down. Even as somebody who's been here for 15 years, I was making a lot of money before, and then now, like, I was looking for different jobs and applying for different jobs, and everybody advertises a really high salary, but once you talk to them, they're like, oh no, that's not the salary anymore. That's the old salary. That's what it was like a year ago, and the whole country is pushing the salaries down and down and down. So in terms of opportunities for making money, that's changed a lot in terms of, your salary in teaching English. And especially for non-native English speakers, it's going to be even more difficult for you because they can't process your visa. A lot of the loopholes have been closed in regards to, being able to get a visa and work here legally. So a lot of those things have changed, and they've had massive crackdowns, massive deportations. So if that's you, you might want to consider going somewhere else that's more friendly to non-native English speakers, such as, Thailand or Vietnam or Cambodia. Those places are actually still very easy and open to get into and to work there as a non-native English speaker. I'm moving on. I got tired of sitting there. Gonna go for a little walk. So next thing I guess I want to talk about in regards to working in China is going to be the business opportunities. Now, as somebody who's been in business myself for many, many years, I've had the fitness business online business where I was importing products and selling products here in China. I've also owned, a cocktail bar / restaurant, like lots of businesses that I've done and owned here before. And right now, the current situation here for doing business is also not great. So now this goes for all aspects in terms of import, export. These, like lots of businesses, they're not doing really great right now at the moment. I have lots of friends in business who are, they were making a lot of money before exporting stuff from China to other countries, to places in Africa, places in America, places in South America, etc. And those businesses are really, really struggling now. They're not doing near as well as they used to do before the pandemic, just because a lot of people figured out how to, businesses figured out where to get their products from, and that they could get their products from other countries for, a relatively similar cost. And also a lot of times just easier to communicate, just because the way some of the Chinese do business is not really ideal for a lot of foreigners. I'm not saying it's bad, but for foreigners, especially Westerners like Americans and Canadians and stuff like that, the typical mindset and the way we do business is very different. And it's a struggle dealing with some of the Chinese business tactics. They have a lot of clickbait tactics, and you got to go through a lot of bullshit, like just to find a good person to do business with. I'm not saying all people doing business in China are bad, nor not all Chinese businesses are bad, but it's really hard to find good ones and really hard to find ones that are easy to deal with. So a lot of that has dried up. People who are making lots of money, they're struggling to make ends meet now, and so many have even closed just due to this, just because it's not worth the time and effort that they had to put in order to just make, a very small amount of money. So, in terms of your business prospects here, it's going to be very limited unless you have some really like special technical skill, like really, really highly skilled individual. Because here in China, we do have a place with 1.4 billion people, And all these people are educated, you know, they all go to university, they all have good education, and they have the skills to do the jobs that you can do, and they can do it in their own language. They don't need you, you know, as a English speaker or a Spanish speaker or something like that to do these highly skilled jobs like engineers or, you know, all this other stuff like that, right? They don't need you here because there's plenty of them here who can do those jobs and do those jobs very, very well. So when it comes to doing those type of jobs or those type of businesses and stuff, your opportunities are going to be very, very few and far between, just simply because the Chinese economy is not great right now. A lot of people are really desperate for jobs, and there's a lot of people doing part-time jobs and all kind of other stuff. If you post a job advertisement, you'll get 100,000 applicants just like that, just like at the snap of a finger. So, you know, hopefully you can hear me, it's windy. So the local people can do the job just as well as you, and probably more educated than you. You're gonna struggle to make it work here in terms of your business, or, you know, finding a job outside of education where, you know, you need to speak English. So it's gonna be difficult. So in terms of working here, if you still are someone who's interested in working here, like I said, as long as you're a native English speaker and you want to work here as a teacher, there are plenty of opportunities. You can still make decent money. Like, you can still make enough money to, you know, to live a good, decent middle-class life and still save a lot of money, right? Those opportunities are still here. And if you're interested in that, then, you know, the requirements are pretty simple. You just need to have a bachelor's degree minimum in any subject, right? It doesn't matter what subject it is. You can still work here as a teacher. Like, you can teach English if you have a degree in business or a degree in science or whatever your degree's in, right? You can still work here as an English teacher. But if you want to do some other like special type of teaching, for example, like say you want to teach like an advanced level math or something like that, then you would obviously need a degree in math. But for teaching English, you don't need anything special, just a bachelor's degree in any subject. So if that's you and you're interested in that, that's still available here for you. So, it's too noisy. So anyway, if you need some advice in terms of looking for a job here or finding a job, most of the agent, because you're going to need an agent, right? If you're just starting out, the days like when I started of going door to door finding a job it's very difficult nowadays, and you know, it's probably not going to be work out for you very well. So if you really want a job, you're going to need an agent to work with. Now, in terms of the agents, most of them are on WeChat, and I know for some people it's really hard to use WeChat when you're outside of China. But just even talking with my own family, like their WeChat accounts got banned for no reason, and they're, you know, not doing anything, you know, not doing anything like suspicious and nothing like that. Their accounts just get banned or get locked up after a while. And I know other friends who left China and their WeChats just kind of like weirdly quit working or quit working properly. So in order to get in contact with the agents, there's a few other things you can do. Now, first of all, you're going to want to get on Facebook and get into some Facebook groups. All you got to do is like search on the Facebook groups, like search, you know, teaching in China, or search jobs in China, and you'll see lots and lots and lots of Facebook groups. And there are a lot of agents in there who are here in China, but you have to kind of weed through it. There are some who are very, you know, good and helpful, and there are others who are just kind of scammers. So you need to be careful about who you're dealing with, because some people will, you know, tell you some stuff that's just not really accurate, or they'll just try to give you some dream job that's not really, doesn't really exist. So you have to be really careful about, you know, who you're dealing with in these situations. Now, in terms of myself, I know lots and lots of agents here in China because I've been here for so long, and I know really very good, reputable agents. Now, I could probably connect you with some. Not all of them are available on Facebook. Most of them are on WeChat, but some of them you can find on Facebook or WhatsApp. But also, they very rarely work through email, just because it's just not very convenient compared to, you know, the WhatsApp, like how you can send documents and send CVs and files and videos and all this stuff. WeChat just works a lot better. That's why all the agents are on it. So if you're interested in that, I'm thinking about maybe starting a service to help people get some of these jobs, and I can probably connect you with some agents in order to help you find what you're looking for, whether you're a native or a non-native. But in terms of being a non-native English speaker, it's going to be more difficult, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to have to go through, and you're probably not going to be able to do it very well if you're living abroad. You kind of have to already be in China and have kind of a visa situation sorted out. And that's another thing. Beware of these visa scams, because you'll come across things on Facebook where people say, oh, we can get you to work visa no matter what your nationality or no matter what your degree. A lot of those things are scams, and they'll just take your money and disappear and leave you with no money and no job. So beware of that. Don't fall into that trap. Talk to a reputable agent, or talk to someone who actually knows a lot of reputable agents, and you won't have much to worry about if you do that. If you talk with somebody you can actually trust, and somebody you know who's here on the ground. So if anybody's interested in that, I might be able to help out with that here in the near future. I'm not sure yet. It's a lot of stuff to do. It's like, I'm not going to get much money for that. I'm not really, but I don't mind to help people out, because that's, what I like to do. I enjoy helping people, things like that. So, if you're interested, you can reach out to me. I don't check often, but, I have an Instagram account. It's, I think it's in my YouTube bio or something like that. You can just go over there on Instagram, shoot me a message, and I might be slow to reply, but I usually reply to all the messages unless it's a scammer. So, if you shoot me a message there, just be patient, and I'll probably reply to you and try to help answer some of your questions and stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video pretty much. Just hit the like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, put them in the comments, or you can shoot me a message over on Instagram, and see y'all on the next video.